I'm so excited to be here this morning, and I'm so grateful to so many people. Some I know here in the room, and some not yet. But I'm so honored to speak today before you with true friends of our country, people who speak the truth through times where many are being deceived. My dear friends, brothers and sisters from around the world, welcome home to Jerusalem. You have come not just to visit this place, but to stand in the heart of a miracle, the miracle of Israel's rebirth. And before I say another word, let me begin with this simple truth. We are not outsiders. We did not come from elsewhere. We are the original sons and daughters of the land of Israel. The same land where our prophets spoke, where our kings ruled, and where our ancestors prayed thousands of years ago. After 2,000 years of exile, of persecution, of slavery, of genocide, the Jewish people came home. We revive our ancient language, we rebuild our ancient cities, and we restored our sovereignty on the soil where our nation was born. That is not colonialism. That is indigenous revival, the restoration of a people to their homeland. And yet, across the world, today, we see voices rising that deny this simple truth. In the streets of Western capitals, demonstrators chant that Israel is an occupying force. They call us colonizers in our own land. But if you dig anywhere in Jerusalem, in the hills of Judea or the plains of the Galilee, you will find the truth written in stones. You will find ancient Hebrew scripture. You will find synagogues from thousands of years ago. You will find coins bearing the names of our kings, David, Chizkiah, Yehuda. Archaeology tells our story. Science tells our story. History confirms it, and faith, your faith and our faith, bear witness to it. Israel is the only case in human history where an indigenous people exiled for centuries returned home, rebuilt their land, revived their ancient tongue, and renewed their covenant of life and freedom. To call Israel a colonial project is to deny science, history, and the Bible itself. When the Jewish people returned home, Israel was a desolate land, barren, neglected, and poor. We found malaria-ridden swamps, arid desert, and rocky hillsides. We had no oil, no gold, no natural resources like many of our neighbors. What we had was our faith, our hands, and our determination. We drained the swamps, we planted forests, we made the desert bloom, we rebuilt cities out of sand and turned scarcity into innovation. Today, Israel leads the world in water technology, renewable energy, and agriculture. We turned adversity into ingenuity and proved that the spirit of a free and indigenous people cannot be crushed. But today, my friends, Israel faces a new kind of battle. Not one fought with tanks or rockets, but with lies. The war for truth has become the new front line. And make no mistakes, this battle is fierce. From Al Jazeera studios in Doha to social media feed in New York and London, An industrial-scale propaganda campaign seek to distort reality, to demonize Israel, and to delegitimize the Jewish right to self-determination. They twist facts, they stage images, they turn terrorists into victims and victims into villains. They want the world to see Israel not as the only democracy in the Middle East, but as a colonial aggressor. And so every day we fight not only our physical survival, but for the truth itself. I believe in the power of prayer. How else do you explain our miraculous survival over the last 2 years? How can you explain our survival over the last 2,000 years? We met in a city that holds the story of our shared faith. Here the words of prophets were spoken. Here the prayers of generations rose to heaven. Here our histories are etched into stones. For Jews and Christians alike, this place is sacred, not because of borders on a map, but because the covenant written into our scripture and our souls. In difficult times, like many others here in this room, I turn to the Bible to find strength and answers. On the day of October 7th, the day of the massacre, I was in Kibbutz Chukuk. My sister lives there, and it's named after the prophet Habakkuk, that you may know. 2 weeks later, I realized I don't know much about this prophet. So I decided to open the book, okay? I was reading the first chapter, and I was shook to my core because I understood this is the beginning of the historical time that our prophets have been warning and guiding us to. It gave me strength and understanding of our challenges, our strength, and our weaknesses as the people of Israel. I want to share with you what I saw in my eyes in Hebrew. Reading the first chapter, and I translated it for you from a simple Hebrew to a simple English, not through Greek and Latin and everything. And because I want this to give you that strength and that understanding as well of what we see through our Israeli and the Hebrew eyes. So it goes like this. I begged for the help of God, and you will not hear me. I scream Hamas. The prophet could use many words for violence. It's translated for you in English to violence. But the word in Hebrew is Hamas. He mentioned Hamas 4 times just in the first chapter. Didn't choose any other word, okay? So, I scream Hamas, and you did not save. Why would you show me the sight of injustice and slavery to witness at, and Hamas violent looting? For there will be feud and contention to bear and endure. On this the Bible may disappear, and justice will never prevail. Now listen to this. He talks about the justice, because it will be the evil that will crown the saint. And because of that, justice will be distorted. Think about the ICC, ICJ. Who crowns those judges? Who chooses them? And their verdict, is it political or is this justice? He spoke about it. Listen to this. Look at the foreigners and see them puzzled to their end, because activists are working in modern time. It is like an unimaginable tale. God will erect and raise the Kashdim. This is modern Iraq and Iran area, the biblical one, and it was Iran. The bitter and hasty Gentile who will walk to the regions of Israel to inherit the towns that don't belong to him. Dreadful and horrible is his being. His law and his hatred will come out. Now listen to this. His horses are lighter than tigers. What does the prophet mean? His horses are lighter than tigers. Who speaks Hebrew? Nitzan, where are you? You've been guiding them. What is tigers in Hebrew? Tigers. Namer. Okay. What is namerim? What do we use namerim for? Namerim. It's an armed vehicle. It's the armed vehicle that you saw being destroyed on the 7th of October is called namerim. And it tells us his horses are lighter than tigers. So when you read that in Hebrew, and you remember the motorcycles, the donkeys, the horses, Hamas came in, and you read namerim, which is an armed Israeli vehicle, you have that image of destruction of the 7th of October. They are sharper than the evening wolf. What does this prophet mean? Who know what is our southern command symbol? Okay, sharper than the evening wolf. This is the symbol of Israeli Southern Command, who was in charge of the 7th of October. They were sharper than the evening wolf. The horsemen committed crime. They come from far away. They will fly in like vultures rushing to devour. How do you describe 2,000 years ago paragliders shooting at festival goers? All will join Hamas violence and aim forward. Who joined them? Hezbollah, Iraq, the Houthis, Iran. Everybody will join their violence. Now listen. All will join Hamas and aim forward. He will collect hostages like sand. He will mock leaders, and they will play with dukes like pawns to their will. Each fortress will erode and accumulate dirt, and they will be trapped. So that can break you, but that can give you strength. Understanding we live in historical times. The times that the prophets were talking about, the times that we were warned about. And it's not just our mission, this is your mission as well. These are painful words. They are a lament, a warning, and for those who listen with the ears of history, a call for moral clarity. They literally describe the horror of October 7th. Violence that tear peoples from their homes, the distortion of justice, and the gathering of hostile powers against the innocent. We stand here as witnesses to that reality, and we stand together to proclaim a very different truth, the dignity of every human being. That conviction lies at the heart of our Judeo-Christian heritage. Genesis teaches us plainly, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. That doctrine is not a theological abstraction. It is the foundation of human rights, human responsibility, and the sanctity of life. Because we believe we are all made in the image of God. We reject hate and murder. We reject hostage-taking and terror. That is why the alliance between Christians, friends, and the Jewish people matters so deeply. You stand with us not merely as allies of a nation, but as partners in upholding the moral order that recognizes every person's divine worth. Scriptures calls us to justice. In Micha, he asked, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." That brings me to the struggle we face today, the battle of truth. Modern conflict are fought on many fronts. On the ground, our soldiers defend our towns and rescue hostages. In the courtroom, our diplomats argue our cases. In the marketplace, our engineers and entrepreneurs build life from deserts and hardship. And in the public square, in the media, Ideas and images win or lose the hearts of nations. We are confronting not only rockets and tunnels, but a sophisticated global propaganda campaign that seeks to rewrite reality. For many months now, an organized effort has aimed to cast Israel as the moral aggressor, to blur the distinction between victims and perpetrator, to obscure Hamas crimes, and to lionize its violence. In that campaign, Al Jazeera has become a prominent frontline with broadcasts and narrative that too often present a distorted picture amid critical context or amplify voices that celebrate terror. I name this not out of personal spite, but out of necessity. We must call falsehood by its name. The newsrooms of the world have enormous power. They can inform and illuminate, or they can inflame and mislead. That is why your work, Christian media, faithful journalists, broadcasters who care about truth and conscience, is indispensable. You counterbalance false narratives. You provide context. You remind your audience of moral distinction that others will erase. When you tell the truth about what happened, about the massacre of civilians, about the terror tunnels, about the paragliders and the motorcycle that brought death to sleeping communities, to babies, to little children, you do more than reporting events. You preserve the very possibility of justice. When you insist on accurate reporting of the hostages taken, the women, the children, the elders, you keep their names alive. You refuse to let them vanish into propaganda. Let us be clear. Condemning a terrorist organization, exposing violence and hatred, and defending a nation's rights to defend its people is not hostility towards any people or faith. It is fidelity to the truth, and the truth matters, morally, politically, and spiritually as well. You, my Christian friends in media, are on the front lines of that truth. For that, I am deeply grateful. You have stood by Israel through seasons of doubt and controversy. You have refused to ease equations that reduces history to slogans. You have reminded your audience of the biblical roots of this land and of the shared values that binds us together. To those who ask why Christians should stand with Israel, I respond, not because politics demand it, but because Scripture and conscience compel it. Not because we seek dominance, but because we seek the dignity of all people and the right of a people to live in their ancestral homeland. Our joint heritage teaches that people bear God's image and that therefore every life matters. That's why you, our Christians, brothers and sisters in the media, are so important. You are not just reporters or broadcasters. You are truth tellers. You are witnesses. You are partners in a moral struggle that transcends borders and faiths. When you tell the story of Israel with honesty, you defend more than just one nation. You defend the values of truth, freedom, and faith. You remind the world that light still shines in this land, and that no amount of propaganda can extinguish it. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for standing with Israel, not only in time of celebrations, but in moments of trial. Thank you for your courage to speak the truth when it's unpopular, Thank you for your steadfast friendship when others turned away. Thank you for understanding that the story of Israel is not a political slogan. It's a biblical promise being fulfilled before our own eyes. Zionism is not an ideology of conquest. It is the movement of return, of restoration, of redemption, of liberation. It is the story of people who refused to surrender to history and who, by the grace of God, came home. My friends, when I look at this gathering, I see the living covenant between Christians and Jews, a bond built on shared faith, shared values, and shared destiny. We may pray in different ways, but we pray to the same God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we believe in the same promise that truth and light will prevail over darkness and lies. Together, we are writing the next chapter of that promise. Together, we are building a bridge of faith stronger than any wall or hate. So, to all of you, journalists, leaders, and friends, thank you for standing on the side of truth. Thank you for standing on the side of Israel. And thank you for standing on the side of freedom. Because when you defend Israel, you defend the values that sustain our civilization: faith, justice, and human dignity. May God bless you. May God bless the bond between Christian and Jews. And may God bless the eternal state of Israel. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the question. The question was, how can you as a community serve Israel better? And it's a good question. First of all, the last 2 years have been remarkable. I'm seeing here faces, some I know and some I've watched also on TV, really brave people who stood in front of immense pressure, immense lies, with the quantity and the amount of money that is invested in this propaganda is something unbelievable. And you stood firm against all of that. And it shows your moral clarity during these days. So I would push you to continue and spread that message. What you're doing, your belief, your compass, this conversation that we have with God about guiding us, understanding, we can feel it, we understand it. Whoever feels it, feels it. That internal guidance, there's no lie to it. So follow it, listen to it, continue in what you're doing. But I would ask one more thing. Look, what you see here in Israel is a front line of a far bigger world war that humanity is facing at this point. The military front and the symbol in the Middle East is Israel. But you have your fight against the same forces, the same ideas of darkness in your own countries. And I see here peoples from so many nations and from so many continents, and they are there. I mean, look right now about what's happening in Latin America. I'll take the war against the cartels. It's not a war against the cartels. If you look on intelligence report, you see that Hezbollah, the army of Iran, the army that we defeated in Lebanon, one of the biggest arm muscle, military arm muscle of the Iranian regime, who wants Islamic world dominancy. They're not hiding it. You just need to translate every single speech they have when they call death to Israel, death to America, death to the West. In Latin America, Hezbollah right now is controlling most of the illegal drug and weapon trafficking routes. What are they doing there? Before the 7th of October, 30% of their income came from Latin America to spread their hatred and extremism and terrorism all around the world. They are in your backyard. Maduro is a puppet of Iran. It's not about the cartels. It's not about it's about national security, about how they infiltrate. They make plans, military plans, while doing some quiet jihad, economical jihad, media jihad, university. It's all charity. But the idea is the same idea. This is part of a strategic plan. On one side, the Muslim Brotherhood, and the other side is the IRGC, to spread world Islamic dominancy and rule over the world. And so, who's here from Latin America? Okay, this is in your backyard. Fight it, expose it, because if you're stronger, we are stronger. If we eliminated a lot of the resources now in Lebanon, in Syria, and in other places, destroy their evil sources in Latin America and expose them. That's what it's about. Who's here from Africa? Okay. Do you think the Muslim Brotherhoods are not there? Turkey, Qatar, okay? Iran. Who do you think the conflict in Somalia? Who's leading it? The Houthis. Who are the Houthis? Who arm them? Who train them? Who fund them? Iran. You have an Iranian problem even worse than the 7th of October. The 7th of October happens to Christian communities every single day in Africa. Women are being burnt. Children are being executed and raped every single day. Expose it. Speak about it. Bring it to the front line. If Africa will be strong, Israel will be more capable of defending itself because they won't have any income from Africa. They won't have more armies there. ISIS, the whole Sahel area. Look on what's happening in Nigeria to women and children. It's heartbreaking. The same images we saw on the 7th of October are images of every day in Nigeria. 30 Christians every day just in Nigeria. Our heart is with you. Our heart is with your community and your people. The point is, okay, this is not a battle between Israel and Hamas. This is a battle between radical Islamists and between Western civilizations. And once they get rid of the Jews, the Christians are next. We know that. My family, my mother's family fled from Morocco, like hundreds of thousands of Jews from Algeria and Libya and Pakistan and Afghanistan. Cleared it, cleaned it. No more Jews, barely any more Jews are left there. We had to leave. We were expelled, driven out of our homes for generations. Who are now being persecuted in those countries. The most persecuted minorities in those countries these days are Christians. It's the Jews first, Christians are next. We have to stand together. If you fight it in your own backyards, just one, sorry Nitzan, I know we rush on time, but it's not just Latin America and Africa. I don't think it's those continents. We have people here from Europe. Okay, great. Sweden, one of the biggest mafia there, okay, a criminal is controlled by the IRGC. They are controlling Swedish territories, okay, in Europe, all right? That happens there as well. I mean, think about it. When Operation Rising Lion happened, when we were fighting Iran directly, and the IRGC agents were so terrified and afraid that they are going to collapse, where was one of their favorable place to run off to? You think it was the Middle East? No, it was Canada. We have Canadians here. 700 IRGC agents fled to Canada during Operation Rising Lion. So the problem that we are facing, those 6 armies we've been fighting and defeating here in the Middle East, they're spreading in your countries. Fight them. Fight them hard, because I don't want a 7th of October in any other country. We paid the price. I don't want your children to pay that price. That's what will strengthen Israel the most.
Okay, last question. Thank you, Sarah. Please stand up.
Hello, thank you so much. Also, thank you so much for speaking. I've really enjoyed hearing everything that you've had to say. My name is Ava Barker. I'm a 19-year-old college student studying communications, journalism, broadcasting, and media from the United States. And I'm currently staying in the Czech Republic, and I'm interning for TVR Media. I was just kind of wondering, as somebody who, I'm nobody important, I don't have this large social media following, but I am a younger student that also just gets her information from social media like everybody else my age, and there's lots of propaganda and there's not much truth being spread. So I just wanted to know what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is currently doing to reach more people my age that don't really have the access to find the truth as easy, and what is being done maybe about that.
Okay, that's a great question, and I will elaborate maybe another question, if that's okay, Nitzan, with the problems that we have in universities during these days. So the first thing about social media, it's been very difficult. Israel cannot fight off the propaganda machine where billions of dollars are being invested into it. The amount and the quantity is a quantity that, Israel, for such a small country, we cannot fight it. What we are trying to do is to give quality, okay, and to focus on groups as much as we can. But you need to remember, this is not just Israel's fight. They are poisoning the minds of your younger generation. Al Jazeera has been banned in the UAE. Why? In Saudi Arabia, they've been banned. Why? The Palestinian Authority they've banned it. You know why? Because they say, truthfully, they are radicalizing the youth. Yet you allow it to spread in Europe and in America, Latin America, Africa, to poison the minds of your community with propaganda, with fabrication, with complete lies. So we can block it here, and we can try and fight off. And worldwide, our ministry, and together with the governmental Office of Communication, we're doing incredible campaigns worldwide, effectively targeted, with high quality, because this is our better capability if we try to put it on the balance to fight quantity off. But I don't think you truly understand what a huge problem you have in your younger generation that is being poisoned by the media and by social media, by those fabrications. It is part of a strategic plan. And you know what? Don't take my word for it. I'm an Israeli agent, okay? In America, in Washington, documents were exposed in a suburban home. Those documents were the foundation for what was called the Holy Land Trials. Okay? This is the Muslim Brotherhood plan, strategic plan to infiltrate Sharia into American society. A lot of what was talked there, okay, how do they do it? Through civil society organization, through Muslim community, and through universities. Okay? It's part of their strategy. And think about it. Where did the heart of the Iranian revolution for the IRGC happen? It happened in the Tehran University. And the Muslim Brotherhood revolution in Egypt, in the Cairo University. So the universities are a fertile ground for those radical ideas to flourish and to open up. And what I see now in the younger generation and in universities is so worrying, because I don't think you truly understand what's going to happen the next generation and the following after that. I served my country. I served for 3 years as a combat soldier during the second Intifada. I was in the border guards. I am so grateful for that service, who have built me to be the person I am. Why would I risk my life for a position like that if it's not because of the love for my country, my heritage, my history, my culture, my faith? So our identity is founded on the love for who we are, and history, tradition, faith, religion is part of it. What is happening right now in universities is the exact opposite. They teach your children to hate your history, to hate your values, to hate your traditions, to hate your faith. It's not about Israel. When they walk and chant in the streets of New York and burn Israeli flags, they also burn the American flags. I saw last week a demonstration in Australia where they were burning Australian flag or British flags. Well, if you look on the other side, you see them waving up the Israeli flag proud together with the American flags, or the Israeli flag together with the UK flag. It's an indication of what's coming. They are teaching them to hate your values, who you are, your history, your culture, your faith. Not everything is perfect, but you need to be proud of it. Now think another generation to come. If there will be a confrontation, who will be in the front line? Who will risk their life for your country, for your history, for your heritage, and for your culture? Who will not run of battle and will be willing to sacrifice them on the name of the values that your countries represent? How many soldiers will be in the front line to defend your communities? You cannot have an army who don't have the love for their nation, for their country. They are destroying communities and nation from within, with it creating chaos, propaganda, and hatred to who you are. It's not about Israel, the university problems, the propaganda. It is a humanity problem. It's a problem about the attempt of destructions of Western democracy, the Western civilized world, against values of darkness. And they are doing it in the most sophisticated ways. And I'm sure, I see my time is up. Look, I'll conclude this. If you want to strengthen Israel, strengthen your country, your community, your younger generation, if they understand that what happened here is just the beginning or the front line of what is happening in your own front yard, and you defeat it there, we'll be able to defend Israel. We will be able to guard it from a military perspective, from a media perspective, everything. But we need you to be strong. I'll leave here my cards. I know you're running late with the program. I apologize. It was such a great pleasure to meet you, and it was an immense opportunity for me to thank you for everything that you've been doing in the last 2 years. I will leave here my cards of my media advisor. Any interview, any comment, any briefing that you would want to do in the future, feel free to contact him, and I'm very happy. I'm doing day and night like interviews to try to defend Israel, so it's here.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Deputy Minister Haskel.